All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So, obviously, as some of you guys know, this PCM cover or ECU cover, whatever you want to call it, when you take it off, it can be a pain in the rear to get it back on. Now, you got these little tabs here, these little hooky things here. These things hook around this part. They slide down in between these. And they have to go in between. As you can see how tight these things are. So what you got to do is when you're putting it on, you have to make sure that these two little tabs here slide in between these. Now, sometimes they can go on the outside and your PCM cover will not be fully locked in there. And you'll hear something rattling around inside your vehicle. And it's a very good chance it could be this. So what I did was I took a small screwdriver, pried it in there, and just wedged them out just a little bit, a hair, to the point where it's really not that hard to slide these down in there. And then you must hear it like snap. If you don't hear that little snap, it's not fully locked on there. So for example, I already kind of took a little screwdriver and pried them out a little bit just to give it a little bit of play. That's all you need is a little bit of play. And then you'll take your PCM cover and you heard that? That was it. So that's one of them. And then there it is. Snapped it on there. So once you hear that little click, you know it's on there. See? It's on there snug. So again, this can be a little tricky when you take off your PCM cover, but make sure you hear those things snap in there. Okay, now, as well as your PCM as well, I'll show you guys how to safely remove and reconnect it. Because if you have to take your PCM off, you want to make sure that you don't strip these little tabs out. We're going to show you exactly how to safely remove your PCM without damaging these tabs here, without stripping them in any way. So the very first thing we're going to do is disconnect the negative terminal on the battery. Next, we're going to remove our PCM cover. Just slide that right on up. Pops right off. Now we're going to go ahead and remove our catch can and kind of set it off to the side so we can have some room to work with in here. Set it right there. Good to go. Now we got a lot more space to work with in here. Okay, now these tabs, normally you would pull up on this tab and the bottom would come out first and then the top would come out. Then you would pull it out, lift it up, and you'll be able to remove your PCM. But to not mess with those tabs, because they can easily strip, they're very, very fragile, what we're going to do is we're going to release the tab just by touching on that little push point there. So it's now released, and we're going to take this here and we're going to stick it down in here, and these here, and what we're going to do is we're going to push down the release tabs. We're going to push them all the way down. That way we don't have to pull up on this and release it. We're just going to push it down, because lifting up on this thing here, you run the risk of easily stripping your tabs, which you don't want to do, because you want to be able to put these back on and lock them on. So you want this thing fully covered, because under this is wires. So what you'll do is you'll take something like this here. This slides right down in there. It can fit perfect. And you'll just push all the way down. And see how that came up? Push down. So these little pins here, these are the catches that when you push it, it forces this down and releases the whole connector cover. But what we're going to do is we're not going to use this little lever here. We're just going to push down ourselves manually and release it. Just like that, we safely removed our PCM tab, which can strip easily. And as you can see, there's wires in here, so you want these fully protected at all times. Then we're going to take off our 3 nuts on the PCM. One here. Here. Once you get the 3 screws off, your PCM is fully released and you can just pull it right up. Now I'll show you how to put in your new PCM. Reverse the steps, but let me show you a few tricks. Okay, so you'll put your new PCM back in the same exact way you took it out. Spin in our first screw, and then our second screw. Tighten it down with your hand. And then our third screw. Kind of get your hand down in there and tighten it up. By removing these things first, you got enough room to get your hands down in there. Also, it's important to remember when you attach this screw here, make sure you put your ground cable back on, which is right here. So we'll go ahead and tighten this down before we tighten our bottom one first. Don't over torque it, just tighten it down so it's nice and snug so that it won't move around. Then I'll show you how to put these tabs on here. So what you want to do is you want to take the tab, kind of slide it in place so that now it's kind of on there. And so what you want to do is put this tab all the way in the up position and push down on this as you push in, and the catches will grab it. These green and blue pins are coming up and locking it in place. Just like that. And this is fully locked on there. It's not coming off. That one's nice and snug. Now let's do the other one. And that's how you safely put back on your PCM wire protectors. And this is the best way to do it without stripping these blue and green tabs, which you want on there, because that's what locks the PCM in place. So if you enjoyed this video, if you appreciate it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel. We got more great content on the way. Alex Life signing off.